South African police said they rescued 90 Ethiopian migrants who were being held against their will at a property in Johannesburg. Police carried out a search at the property on Sunday for a person reported to have been kidnapped and discovered the migrants. A said 2 people were arrested on suspicion of kidnapping and human trafficking. The alleged kidnapping victim was also rescued, police said on Monday. The Ethiopian migrants are believed to have been illegally trafficked. They were packed into small rooms and kept locked up, police said. They were taken to a hospital for medical care, and the 2 suspects will face charges in court. Authorities, including Interpol, have raised concerns over the trafficking of Ethiopian migrants through several southern African countries in an attempt to ultimately reach South Africa. The migrants are often trafficked and kept in dangerous conditions. In 2020, at least 64 people from Ethiopia were found dead inside a freight container in Mozambique. In 2022, the bodies of 30 Ethiopian migrants were found in a mass grave in Malawi. That same year, the bodies of 27 Ethiopian men were found dumped in Zambia. Africa News.
I think it's extremely important to distinguish between what is human trafficking and what is human smuggling.
Right.
Because many times we have human smuggling aspects of human trafficking that we see. So in the previous cases where we've seen that the Ethiopians, because obviously there's a strong language barrier between Amharic, so we're looking for translators to interpret exactly what happened to them, how did they come into the country. So many of the conversations that I personally had with the Ethiopians, with translators, they tell us that they hate the smuggler in Kenya. So in case of human trafficking, we are looking at involuntary or forceful recruitment, or sometimes deceptive recruitment. So that part, and many of these Ethiopians would say, no, they willingly paid the smuggler in Kenya. And then from Kenya, they were smuggled then to Malawi, then to Zimbabwe. And these men tell us that they traveled for 3 months. And that traveling to come to South Africa is quite abusive. So we've seen aspects of abuse, where these smugglers, which is a crime, the smugglers are taking their money, they are being exploited in some way. But that is very important for police and crime intelligence to do that screening process quite thoroughly, because are we dealing with smuggling, which is a crime, or are we dealing with trafficking? Because when we ask human trafficking, what type of trafficking happened? Did the exploitation take place, or were these men only held hostage in a home? So was it kidnapping? Was it hostage? Or was it sex trafficking? Was it labor trafficking? Did the exploitation part happen? Were they trafficked into the mines, our illegal mining system? Were they trafficked into spaza shops? Was it their form of agriculture? So what exploitation took place? And that process is very crucial to understand. That's a problem we've seen in Tanzania, a lot of cases, and even the Ethiopians that reach South Africa, every time we talk to them, 3 of their fellow community Ethiopians have died along the way. So when we look at smuggling, we see those aspects. A lot of time they're on foot. A lot of time their belongings are stolen. So the Ethiopian community are vulnerable. Firstly, because they are illegal. Secondly, so these predators take advantage. Whether it's trafficking or smuggling, we need to determine that. But there's definitely vulnerabilities. We are also concerned, with our smuggling routes in South Africa, our border control. They tell us they're coming over Messina, but they're walking over the water, the rivers. So, and we're looking at a variety of countries being involved here. We're looking at the smuggler being in Kenya. We're looking at Malawi. We're looking at Zimbabwe. And we're looking at South Africans also being involved in the process. Many of the houses in Centurion, remember the Ethiopians in that house where we were quite closely involved, the house belonged to a South African. So who is involved in the syndication of these cases? And yes, we need to stop it, because the Ethiopians are vulnerable.